Samuel Hayes was a man of the forest. Once a ranger, now retired, he lived alone in a small wooden cabin nestled near the untouched waters of Cedar Hollow Lake in northern Oregon. The place was far from cities and noise, just trees, wind, and water. His only regular company was the rustle of the pines and the quiet call of loons across the lake. The locals in the nearby town of Pinebridge knew Samuel as a kind but distant man, polite, but private. He was the kind of person who knew every plant and animal in the region by name, but rarely talked about himself. After losing his wife many years ago, he'd chosen solitude over company, but never bitterness. Nature had become his closest companion. Every weekend without fail, Samuel would load his fishing gear into his old green canoe and push off from the weedy shore of Cedar Hollow Lake. It wasn't really about catching fish, it hadn't been for years. It was about peace. About sitting still in the world and letting it breathe around him. On this particular Saturday morning, the lake was especially calm. The sky was a soft blue, streaked with long, drifting clouds. The water was so still it reflected the trees like glass. Samuel paddled out slowly, the oar slipping silently through the surface. He found his usual spot near a fallen log where trout often lingered in the shadows. He cast his line and settled back, letting the morning light warm his shoulders. The only sounds were birdsong, the quiet slap of water against the canoe, and the wind moving gently through the trees. He closed his eyes for a while, just breathing, his thoughts drifting like the mist over the water. Then, faintly, something broke the silence. A cry. At first, he thought it might have been a bird. But it came again, thin, sharp, and desperate. It wasn't the sound of a bird, or even a fox. It was something younger. Smaller. And in pain. Samuel sat up quickly, scanning the tree line. Then he saw it, a disturbance in the water near the far edge of the lake. Something small was struggling, limbs flailing weakly before disappearing beneath the surface. Without thinking, he pulled in his fishing line and paddled hard toward the spot. His arms burned with the effort, he wasn't as strong as he used to be, but the urgency pushed him forward. As he drew closer, he saw it, a baby elk, maybe 2 or 3 weeks old, barely afloat. Its fur was soaked, ears drooped, body limp. Its nose bobbed just above the waterline. Samuel leaned over and, with great care, reached down and pulled the animal into the canoe. It didn't struggle, it couldn't. Its eyes were barely open, breathing shallow. Its legs dangled uselessly across the side. His heart clenched. He wrapped the calf in his flannel jacket and held it close, shielding it from the wind. "Hang on, little one," he whispered. "You're not done yet." He turned the canoe back toward shore, the calm lake suddenly feeling enormous. Time slowed, each stroke of the paddle stretching longer. The elk didn't move, but it was still breathing. Barely. Once ashore, he carried the animal to his truck, driving fast down the bumpy forest road to Pinebridge, to the wildlife rehab center near the edge of town. The center was run by Dr. Ellen Kim, a sharp, compassionate woman who'd once worked with Samuel during her early fieldwork years. She recognized him immediately when he burst through the door with the calf in his arms. "Water in the lungs," she said instantly. "We have a chance." What followed was a flurry of movement, IVs, suction tubes, heat lamps. Samuel stood to the side, silent, watching every move. He hadn't felt this anxious in years. Finally, after what felt like forever, the calf twitched. Its chest moved a little stronger. And then, its eyes opened. Slowly. Cautiously. "He's a fighter," Dr. Kim smiled. "And you got him here just in time." They kept the calf under observation for several hours. Samuel didn't leave its side. At one point, he reached out and gently stroked the small forehead. "You made it," he said quietly. Dr. Kim approached with a clipboard. "If you're willing, you can foster him temporarily. He'll need close care for a week or two, feeding, warmth, monitoring. He can't go back out yet. Samuel nodded. Of course. That night, back in the cabin, Samuel cleared out a corner near the fireplace. He laid down towels, set up a space heater, and placed a warm milk bottle nearby. The calf, now cleaned and dry, lay curled in the makeshift bed. He named it Cedar, after the forest that surrounded them both. Over the next few days, a routine formed. Samuel woke early to feed Cedar, cleaned him gently with a warm cloth, and even let him wander a little in the backyard, under his close watch. At first, Cedar could barely stand, his legs wobbling. But with each day, he grew steadier. Stronger. Neighbors stopped by to see the unusual sight of the old ranger raising a baby elk. Some laughed, others offered help. Samuel just smiled. He needed someone, he'd say. But it was more than that. Cedar's presence brought something back to Samuel's life that had been missing for years. Purpose. Connection. And warmth. By the end of the second week, Cedar was trotting around the yard confidently. He'd grown curious and bold, even nuzzling Samuel's hand when he wanted milk. Samuel laughed more than he had in years. He spoke to Cedar often, even when he knew the calf couldn't understand. And then came the day Samuel had been dreading. It was time to let him go. He contacted Columbia Wildlife Reserve, where a ranger named Monica Rivers agreed to integrate Cedar into a protected elk herd after a short quarantine. They arranged to meet on a misty Saturday morning. Samuel drove slowly, Cedar in the passenger seat, looking out the window like he understood something was changing. At the reserve, Monica greeted them with kindness. She stroked Cedar's head and helped guide him into the enclosure. Other elk grazed nearby. One larger elk, perhaps a future companion, stepped close and sniffed Cedar, who didn't flinch. Samuel watched from behind the fence. Cedar paused, turned once, and looked back at him. And then, slowly, walked toward the herd. Monica placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder. You gave him a second chance. He nodded, eyes glistening. And he gave me one too. Back at Cedar Hollow Lake, Samuel still fished most weekends. The lake hadn't changed. But he had. He noticed more, the shift in the clouds, the way the breeze stirred the branches. He felt more connected to everything around him. When someone asked about the elk, or why he'd done it, he never gave a long speech. He'd just say, sometimes, all it takes is one moment to remind you what matters. And for Samuel Hayes, that moment had started with a quiet cry across a still lake. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next episodes.